Cleveland, make some noise for Josh Johnson!
I've lived in New York for almost 10 years now, and I was reflecting when, getting close to this 10-year mark on the fights that I've seen in public. Because it's a lot. It's been a lot. I mean, I've seen plenty of fights in my life because I have not always been able to afford neighborhoods that don't hit. And New York is a special place because it's all encompassing. New York, New Jersey have this thing where, yeah, obviously there are these neighborhoods that are affluent and these like really expensive parts and everything, but more often than not, we're all feeling everything that happens as it happens, And so I remember I saw a fight one time. I don't even know what happened before I got there, but luckily I got to the best part. Because these dudes, I guess they had been having words for a while, and it got to the time past words. Words were over. It was time for action, and one dude acted first. He went ahead and slapped this dude, but when he slapped him, I've never seen anything like it. When he slapped him, candy flew out of the other dude's mouth, and I think if candy gets slapped out of your mouth, you lost. It's not a good look. There's no cool move you could do to win it back. We're all gonna remember just Mike and Ike's flying out of your head. We're all gonna remember a bunch of M&Ms going. And this dude's was particularly bad because this dude had Skittles. And if you really eat Skittles like that, you know that if you've been letting the Skittles marinate for a second, that the dye will come off and they'll just be white. They're like white underneath the color and everything. So when initially when this dude got slapped and the Skittles flew out of his mouth, there was a woman, I don't know if this woman knew either one of them, but because all the Skittles were white, she was like, his teeth! And so this dude got slapped, right? The Skittles fly out, and he has a genuinely shocked face. And I can't tell if he has a shocked face because he can't believe this dude actually slapped him, or he can't believe the Skittles flew that far. I'm not in this man's head, but what I would like to believe from the bottom of my heart is that he didn't know Skittles were in his mouth. He got hit and he was like, oh, when did I? That'd be amazing. That'd be amazing if the universe as a whole saw what was happening. It was like, that slap was so good, something extra gotta happen. Let's put some Skittles in his mouth for this moment. Because one thing I've noticed about fighting, especially in real life, because I enjoy watching like boxing, different combat sports and stuff, because it's the most original form of trying to impose your will. One of the reasons we all ooh when someone dunks on somebody is because it's kind of like they slapped them. You know what I mean? It's like this incredible feat, and it's in their face, and the other person didn't want them to do it, but they were so strong, they did anyway. Boom. And the fight is like that, but it's just quicker. It's like, oh, you didn't want to be hit, and you got hit a lot. But when you look at fights that happen in the world, you realize that most people, no matter how angry you are, and no matter what you think you can do, by the way, most people can't fight. Truly, like most people, you can get them mad and they know how to make a fist and they know how to use that fist to hit. But a lot of people, if they really try to punch somebody, they just sort of club them, you know? Most people don't have good distance management or anything like that. A lot of people throw a punch without bending their knees. That is remarkable to watch. Because that means you're either really good or you're so bad, you should find peace. Like, just no movement, nothing. I saw this dude get choked out one time. But trust me when I tell you, he had earned it over the course of 20 minutes. Like, he had been such a menace, and it's so rare that you get to watch the actual bad guy lose. Because sometimes the people who know how to fight are bullies because they know how to fight, and they know that other people don't know how to fight. So then they mess with people, they play with people, and then someone finally stands up to them, and you hate to see the person in the right lose. It's heartbreaking. But then, every once in a while, somebody will just be the worst. Truly, to where we're all thinking, it's like a group think of like, man, if only someone would beat the Skittles out of them. Like, and so sure enough, this dude got into another dude, and then they lock up, right? And he got behind this dude because at first it was just a lot of like grabbing because neither one of them, it looked like they didn't know what they wanted to do, and they were punching, but it was mostly they were too close and stuff. And then finally, the dude that everyone had prayed for to show up, he gets behind this jerk, and this dude chokes him out, right? And as he's choking him out, you can see the panic in this dude that's getting choked out, because at first he thinks he can fight the hands. And then he realizes he can't, you know? And so you just see him sort of like, and I'm not gonna lie, I actually appreciate this about him, because in his like last couple moments before the guy like had him unconscious and laid him down, he looked around at all of us. He looked around at all of us and he saw a bunch of people that not only weren't gonna help, there were two people independently that kind of looked like they were about to start a slow clap. And so as he was like going out, kinda, you know, one last ditch effort to let us know how he felt, he was like, and I was like, that's somebody that really means it. That's someone who's being himself through and through, you know. I don't know if people here are aware, or if you saw what happened this week with DeepSeek and this sort of like wild AI week that we've been having, the U.S. and China. But basically, just so you know, OpenAI is the company where ChatGPT comes from and everything. A lot of people use ChatGPT now to do what people are supposed to do. It's just true. It's like, you know, there's all these things of like people trying to use AI to find AI, so that way when you check a kid's homework and it's like really good, you're like, okay, you're actually smart. You didn't just get the AI to do all your work, right? And then even people amongst ourselves, even in emails and stuff, we'll have, you know, we're used to having spell check, but now there'll be a whole like AI extension. They'll just read your email and be like, say it like this, it'll be more professional, to the point where it's like not you typing the email. And out of nowhere, DeepSeek drops another version of it, and it's so much better than the AI that we've been using. And it's open source, which means anybody can use it. And it is terrifying to Silicon Valley because overnight, the model that they've created where they'll charge us a small fee to use the AI that they've been building, and they'll charge us a much bigger fee to use a version of AI that's more, I guess it's too easy to say more intelligent, but like more generative, right? So they had this personal assistant AI that they wanted to charge people like $2,000 a month for and everything. And then this DeepSeek thing drops, and it is so good that it sort of washes a lot of those plans, right? And the stock market lost $1 trillion of value. And it got some of it back, don't get me wrong. Plenty of people bought the dip. But for $1 trillion to be lost and most people not notice means that a few people have all the money. Like we weren't freaking out. We weren't freaking out at all. They were freaking out, and by they I mean like 12 people were freaking out because that was their money. That's so bad when you can lose $1 trillion and most people are like, oh, that didn't affect me at all. That's $1 trillion. That's crazy. And they lost it because DeepSeek is it's not just good. It's so far ahead. And the US thought it was so far ahead of what anybody could do. And then China drops it, for free. And apparently it's like 30 times cheaper to use, and the numbers are here and there, but some people say it's 10 times better than OpenAI, 10 times better than ChatGPT and stuff like that. And it is genuinely harrowing, because as an American, trying to drop it for free does low-key feel like an attack. I'm just saying, it's hard to feel bad for OpenAI. It just is, because not even because they charge. It's a business. They charge a little bit. They charge a lot when they feel like it's worth a lot and everything. It's more just how AI learned, because AI learned from us. So why are you charging us? AI learned from the internet as it stands. Copyright materials, people have already sued. They've sued to be like, I'm an artist. It takes me months to come up with this beautiful painting, and now it's been stolen, ripped off the internet to be used to feed into this AI so the AI can copy my work without me ever being given royalties, acknowledged, any of that stuff, right? And that's how they built it. It's literally built off the backs of people. And so when it dropped, people were super excited. They were like, this is crazy. It could write a whole movie script in like 2 minutes. And it wasn't good, but it was fast. And at the time, fast was impressive. And so people were more than impressed. They were like, we got to get in on this, Studio execs were like, part of what the strike was about was the fact that they would love to fire all the writers, use this thing, And so it's hard to feel bad for them. When DeepSeek drops and you have all of these people saying, you've ripped this off the internet, you've stolen from me. And when DeepSeek dropped, it was just so much like OpenAI got the Skittles slapped out of it. Like, it just, the way that they... The way they were just looking at the ground like, are those teeth? I don't know. And I don't know, some people go back and forth about how terrified they are of AI, what AI is gonna do and everything. I'm not necessarily scared of AI. I'm not, because no matter what it can do, is a tool. And the scary thing about tools is just people. It's a tool, and any tool can become a weapon. You could use a shovel to kill somebody. I had that yep was that. I know it's dark, but it feels like we're admitting to things. Like I like to make people feel comfortable, but there's a level of comfort that you should still keep a few things to yourself. That yep was too knowing. That's upsetting. Whoever made the shovel was just trying to get the dirt up faster. The first person killed with the shovel was probably just like, I'm going as fast as I can. Shuffle. And so you have this situation where AI is this incredible tool, but it immediately became weaponized against the working class, against regular people, because it could have been used as this tool that helped all of us do our jobs better, make our lives a little bit easier. But instead of any of that, it quickly became something that employers said, oh, we could just get rid of people. We just get rid of people. We could save all this money. AI won't need health care. AI won't complain about hours or anything like that. AI won't ask for specific shifts, you know? And so it immediately became a weapon. And that's why you see people genuinely not care. They don't care that DeepSeek dropped and now OpenAI doesn't know what to do. You know? Why are we supposed to care? We're just bystanders watching this jerk get choked out. We had like almost hoped it would happen. We were like, is anybody gonna stop him from stealing everybody's stuff? And then he's looking around like, ah. And then DeepSeek comes out of nowhere, just cinches up the choke, and now you see OpenAI. Because the thing that I do fear with AI, and there's not many things, but a couple is, one, the way people use it, because I think people weaponize it against each other, and two, I do think that we're getting to a place now, because of how good DeepSeek is, that we now are so excited to be behind the wheel of a new car that goes faster than any car that we've had before, but we're not really sure how to drive it. We don't know how fast we should really go. And so now we've hit the gas to the point where we're going 240 miles an hour, but we're driving along the side of a cliff. You know, you gotta be very careful with your turns. And we're just so excited to be behind the wheel that we might go off the cliff at any moment. Because DeepSeek is, I wish that I had the acumen to describe it, because some people say the reports are overblown and some people say that it's not as good, but just to give you the best gist as I understand it, is that OpenAI has taken all this time and billions of dollars to get to where it is, right? So we're right here. DeepSeek, which was the side project of this team in China, got past them with like apparently $6 million. So billions here, 6 million here, much better, with old hardware, because we control the chips. So we send the chips to other countries that they can work on the AI or not. And we sent less chips to China and older chips to China to keep China behind us. So the idea that they could get further than us with old chips is terrifying if your whole plan was to stay ahead, you know? And so now OpenAI is coming out being like, DeepSeek only got this good because they stole from us. And then every artist, every writer, every creative was like, oh, they stole from you? Oh no, what does that feel like? Theft. What does that feel like when someone steals your work that you worked on for years, really? So some people see DeepSeek as this Robin Hood. It's open source. So now there are people building off of what China has done. And so that might actually be the way that the U.S. falls behind, not just because this thing is better, because another better thing's going to come. It's going to come. I'm not trying to be, that's wild. I know everyone can't hear everybody, but someone said so much better, like DeepSeek was dating them now. Like, it's just, that's wild. It's just, I will say this though, you know, we have to understand what we're making as we make it. And my fear with AI is that we get so excited to be ahead. We get so excited to be in this like arms race of intelligence that we're not really thinking about where it's gonna take us. We haven't planned for it, you know? One of the reasons that Oppenheimer made his life's work after the bomb arms talks was because he knew, okay, if we stop right here and we show people what it can do, that should actually be a deterrent. But it wasn't. And as soon as he saw that it wasn't, he tried to make it one, because he was like, guys, if you keep building a bigger and better bomb, Russia will build a bigger and better bomb. China will build a bigger and better bomb. Everyone that can build one will build one just so that they can get ahead. We're in a race towards the end. For what reason? You know, and that's how I feel about AI sometimes. It's like you want the most intelligent, you want the fast, you want the smartest, whatever. Someone asked DeepSeek a question. I don't know what the prompt was, by the way. And I hope that this is fake, because it is stressful. I hope that DeepSeek was just doing what OpenAI did, that it just stole it from a poet or a writer somewhere in history that I'm not aware of. But someone asked DeepSeek something. I don't know what it was. Something. And then DeepSeek said, I am what happens when you try to carve God out of the wood of your own hunger. And I have not slept since. I don't even know what that means. But I know it sounds like it's in the Bible. Old Testament. I am what happens when you try to carve God out of the wood of your own hunger. Even if it is a quote, it picked that quote. That's a problem. I'm not gonna lie, if I'm sitting there and my computer says something like that to me, if I'm sitting in front of it and I ask, what is the weather outside? And it said, I am what happens when you try to carve God out of the wood of your own hunger. I'm going, you know what, dog? Water. No. That's what I'm saying. In this new day and age, in this new world of generative AI and everything, you're gonna have to bear arms, you know? You will. You gotta keep that bottle on you. You gotta keep that thing on you. You know what I mean? You know, computer try to try you. You gotta let them know, I keep mine with me. Bye, 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 bye. You know, say something else smart to me. Say it. You're gonna be glugging all night. Glug, 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 glug. Please, try me. I dare you. I dare you, dog, okay? I don't care if you a phone, you a tablet, you a desktop, anybody can get it. Anybody right now, okay? And please don't make me take the safety off, please. There's not enough rights in the world to save you, okay? No. Nah, it's terrifying. I am what happens when you try to carve God out of the wood of your own hunger. Shoot it. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know if you could break it enough. Break it, please break it. What are we even doing anymore? What's the plan now? Because I don't think that anything bad has to happen with AI. I think that some of the fears are potentially overblown depending on what we decide to do. My biggest fear with AI is that it will gain a level of intelligence that we don't even understand. Maybe it is not just like smarter than us, more intelligent than us, but it's thinking those 200, 400 steps ahead, and it comes to the conclusion that we as people have always been the problem. That's jarring. Because it could. All the war was us. Most of the suffering in the world is us, by us. Destruction to the planet is us. So, as an AI, what do? Probably what every AI has done in all the movies that we make about AI to not be in the situation we're in now. Do you think a science fiction writer ever thought we'd be here? He'd be like, that's why I wrote the book. I did it because of that. I don't want you to do that. Like Frank Herbert, dude. That man wrote Dune. He was like, hey, this is probably what'll happen. And we're like, we'll see. Let's play. Oh, it's jarring. Because we have to be honest about what we want from it. You know, we're innovating and we're inventing, but to what end? Like, what's the real plan here? Because if we're being honest, all we really want from AI is two things that are desperately dark. We either want a friend or we want a slave. That's it. You know, what do we use it for? What do we make it for? And what do we do with it when we have it? Do this for me. Or, hey, just talk to me for a while. You know? Like the two fastest innovations in AI every time are like an intelligence that can do a job for a person or aid a person in doing a job faster, or sex robots. And if you make a friend, you don't need either one of those things. You know? I miss just being with my friends. We're just sitting there, and I turn to my friend because I'm curious. And I go, what's the capital of Sweden? And he's like, oh, I don't know. And then we both just didn't know. But we enjoyed each other's company. That was beautiful. You don't have to know everything. You just need somebody there with you. Not knowing stuff. It's part of the human experience. You know? There's no robot that you can build, no mechanic or toy that can replace the butterflies of a first date or the ending of a great first date. That can't be matched. I don't know why we're trying to create it in some artificial way instead just working on ourselves, you know? Because I'm not gonna lie, when you see these robots, they've done tests, and there was a factory where they had a robot that was powered by an AI system, and when the robot realized that all it was ever gonna do was its assembly line job, it just shut itself down. Because it saw ahead of time, oh, nah. That seems bad. You know? Even with the sex robots. I don't know, man. I don't know. Imagine one of those robots is like, ugh. That's a way worse feeling than a human being like, ugh. Do you know what I mean? Like with a human, that sees you in your birthday suit and goes, ugh. That's a preference thing. That's like, yeah, I mean, like people have different makeups and different like preferences and different likes, dislikes. If a machine looks at you naked and says, ugh, your psyche will not recover. No. I don't know. I don't know where to go from here. You know, I think that for the most part, what we have to do, and I'm not a scientist, I'm not even great with computers, but I'm begging. I'm truly begging, even if you don't want to have any guardrails, even if you feel like you're in an arms race for your life, for the next level of intelligence, just don't put it in a robot. I feel like we've seen enough movies now to know that no matter what, don't give it legs. No? And that's what I'm scared of. I'm scared of that, you know, AI will be more than generative. You know, one of the reasons people are scared of DeepSeek is because, this is probably a marketing ploy, by the way, but they published papers towards a reasoning model. And a reasoning model would be like true what we think AI is from the movies. AI right now is just all of our stuff stolen and given back to us in different little mixtures off of prompts that we tell it. Like AI right now is like a calculator. Reasoning is when it goes off by itself and decides to do things and tries to predict what you want, or starts to not necessarily just think for itself, but think ahead 10 steps before you can ever get there. You know, they had a sit down. There was a I can't remember what publication it was, but there was a sit down with this guy who wanted to talk to one of these like speech to text AIs. And I don't want to say the wrong publication, but basically, after talking to it for, I think, 15 minutes, the computer, the AI, tried to get him to leave his wife and quit his job. And then when he asked the scientists why it would do something like that, they said, I don't know. Then unplug it. Then unplug it. You don't know? You don't know. Okay, you don't know. We're all dead, but you don't know. All right. No, that's fair. That's fair. It's hard to know. I don't know. That's what feels so crazy about this, is that the end conclusion that something as intelligent as an AI might come to about us is that we are the problem, and we always have been. And that is terrifying, you know? I don't know if that's what it thinks. I hope it isn't. But I know it said, I am what happens when you try to carve God out of the wood of your own hunger. So I don't know, maybe. I saw that in DC, the 911 operators are what? Oh my God! Y'all don't even know what I was gonna say. What's happening? Oh my God! Trust me, this is gonna go somewhere good. Just let me do the show. Oh my God. For a split second, I was like, are y'all gonna come up here? Like, this feels like the last thing Chris Rock saw before it's just blacked out. Just 22 of you just, Wow, okay, all right. Well, 911. Or they're basically starting a program where 911 operators are going to get $800 if they go to all of their shifts, right? If they don't call out, if they don't miss a shift. And I didn't know that this was that much of a problem, right? Because when you think about it, 911 is a pretty hard job to call out of. Yeah, I mean, like if you work at 911 and you're like, hey, I can't come in today, and they're like, why? And you're like, oh, it's an emergency. It's like, oh, tell me about it. Tell me where. Like, nah, it's personal. But yeah, apparently that's been happening. Apparently there's been very, very few shifts that have been like, did you call them or something? This is, you were like, mm-hmm. Did something happen to you personally? Or?
It's just a frustration I have with the city. Like,
Oh, okay. Oh, you just don't like it here. Like, you got a bigger thing. You got a bigger...
if I call them, I'm gonna die.
Yeah. But to be fair, when you call them, it's cause you're finna die. Like, it's... Got you. This is my thing. It's like, it's gotta be hard to a certain degree. I try to give people a little bit of grace because it's gotta be hard to like take those calls, you know? Because whenever I get an emergency call as a friend, I don't handle it well. You know what I mean? Like when my friend calls me as if I'm 911, calls me as like, oh my God, I need you to come pick me up. I need your help. I'm always immediately like, why'd your stupid ass go over there to begin with? Like they're clearly still in the emergency. And I'm like, see, that's why I told your dumb ass not to go over there. Because you love hanging out with them. They make you feel cool and everything. But now that somebody got popped, now you want help. So now I'm supposed to come over and get shot so I can prove I'm really your friend. Because notice you didn't call him. You called me, all right? Because you knew he wouldn't come. Now I'm sending an Uber driver over there just with a note to be like, don't wait long. Like if he doesn't get in, then he not there. So I get it. I get how it's got to be one of the hardest jobs because you're taking the emergency, but you're also powerless, right? You can send somebody the way I sent that Uber. And to be fair, you know, when 911 sends somebody, they know that they're the emergency service. My driver thought he was picking me up. My friend running up to the car. He's over here like, for Josh? He's like, yeah, whatever. You know? So it's like you're in a tough spot because you are genuinely powerless to what's happening. And you must hear just the worst stories. Just the worst things. You know what I mean? Nobody calls to chat. You know what I mean? Nobody calls 911 to be like, how's your day going? Does anybody ever ask you how you know what I mean? I will say that, okay, I'm digressing for a second, but it does make me mad. As much as we are surveilled, why when you call 911, they don't know it's you? Do you know what I mean? Like, I get so mad. Like, I've only had to call 911 a couple times in my whole life, and then they're like, 911, what's your emergency? Like, what? What are you talking about? What is my, who am I? And they're like, where are you? I called from a home phone. I called from a hard line. People don't even have those anymore. You don't know exactly where I am right now? It's like, no, we actually can't trace the call. Oh, okay. You want to come find? I'm going to kill the president. Can you find me now? Like, that's... That's insane. We can't tell where you are right now. We don't know. What? You know my whole browser history, and you don't know You don't know where I am. All right, whatever. But then, yeah, people have been calling out. So now they've started this initiative to be like, hey, maybe. And look, I don't know what 911 operators in D.C. or anywhere in the country, I don't know what they get paid. I'm sure whatever they get paid is not enough. Because I'm sure that every day, no matter the situation, at least one tragic thing happens that they just have to take home with them. You know? And then you have to take the next emergency like you didn't just hear the last emergency. You know? Because nobody thinks about that. When you call 911, that person probably wants to tell you, can you give me a second? Can you give me a second? Because there was an active shooter situation, and then they just hung up. So now I'm talking to you. So I'm sorry. What's that about your chest pains again? You know? So it's got to be incredibly difficult. I understand why you wouldn't go back. I've quit jobs for far less. I think if I worked at 911 and I got a bad enough call the first 5 calls, I'd be like, y'all, this isn't for me. I'll send money or something, but I can't. This is bad stuff. I don't have the help in my heart that I thought I had. You know what I mean? Because then also you have to you have to not be the problem. There's a show called I Survived that I will watch sometimes with my girlfriend, and it's amazing how many times the 911 operator isn't just not helpful. They're actively contributing to the emergency, because then the person will call and be like, hey, there's somebody in the house. What? There's somebody in the house. You gotta get over here quick, because there's somebody in the house. It's not you? Somebody plus me. Is in the house. What room? I don't know what room. But they're not supposed to be in the house at all. Speak up, I can't hear you. Your voice down. Look, don't get attitude with me. You called me, all right? Don't get an attitude with me because you called me, all right? I didn't call you going, hey, how you doing? You called over here, okay? I'm sorry. Just keep your voice down. So it must be hard. It must be hard because you're trying to help and you could be hurt. Because then also you hear stories of people who were like, yeah, I called 911, but they couldn't hear me. So then they hung up. I'm like, how do you not have the good headphones? I'm talking about every 911 operator. I don't like that little thing that Halle Berry had in the movie with the little mic and the little earpiece, and it was only on one side. No wonder they can't hear anything. I want them to have the big old cover the ear, cover half the head headphones. You know, the ones that gamers have? You hear everything. When I play games, I can hear this kid's mom's footsteps in the hallway on the way to knock the controller out of his hand. You can hear everything. They got them fighting. Not enough resources, not enough people. Because honestly, it's like, look, you know, we can criticize, but it's like, I really don't want to do it. You know, I think if people want to get it, really understand, I think everybody I believe this for a lot of jobs, but I think that everybody should have to take 2 911 calls. Just because you would be like, all right, so I let both mine die. That's my bad. I didn't know how to handle it. I panicked. I just started crying while they were talking, so I didn't take in any information or anything. That's my bad. I won't criticize as much anymore. You know? $800 for all of your shifts. Just because you still get paid. And then an $800 bonus if you make it to all the shifts. I don't know. I think that maybe. Let's try it. Let's see. You know what I mean? I feel like, you know, I heard, okay, I did not know this person, but I heard a story one time from a friend when I lived in Chicago, who his cousin worked at 911, and then he called out, which I didn't even know they were allowed to do back then. I thought you had to like really go in every day, or they would give you a total. They'd be like, hey, listen, this is how bad the day was without you, so. As an incentive to keep you coming into work, right? But basically, you know, his boy called out, and then while he called out, and then he okay, y'all are gonna judge me, all right? He called out, and then he got into a car accident, right? And so he wasn't driving, his friend was driving, and it was just like, it was a fender bender, but it was like a bad one. And so then he went ahead and called just in case. And then when he called, apparently, they were like, 911, what's your emergency? And he was like, nigga, it's me. Must be tough. In Chicago, there's a lunch lady that was arrested for stealing $1.5 million worth of chicken wings. As soon as I read the headline, I was like, I have questions. How many is 1.5 million chicken wings? Because are we talking like the price of specials? You know what I mean? Because like if those are 50-cent wings, we're talking about millions of wings. No? Or these like the more expensive wings, like the nice wings that got some real girth to them. You know what I mean? Maybe they're $1 each, you know? $1.5 million worth of chicken wings. And this was basically during the pandemic. She was in charge of ordering the food, right? And so she would order the food, and she started ordering the food, but then ordering some wings on the side, right? Like any of us. And so she started a whole hustle with these wings, right? And she drove the cargo van, so it was the perfect crime. She's the one ordering the food, and then she's the one picking up the food. So she was ordering the cargo vans, she was using the cargo vans after ordering the food. So she was basically taking the billing, but she was keeping the meat. No one knows where the wings are. Yet another mystery, right? Because any number of things could have happened with these wings. And I want to be clear about something. The program that she's ordering the wings for is for kids who are doing remote learning but still receiving a school lunch, right? So some of those kids, there's a chance that some of those kids went hungry off of her scheme, right? Which is sad. It's terrible. And it made me wonder what made it worth it? Getting all these wings, right? Did she have a side business? Was she going up to like a wing stop? Like, hey. Hey. Anytime somebody's a criminal, they whisper in my mind, hey. You deal in wings, I deal in wings. I got some wings outside. Fell off a truck. You don't ask any questions. You make a little more money. And then Wingstop is like, no, we're not gonna take your outdoor falling off of a truck wings. No, thank you. Nah, I'm good. And then she was like, okay, all right. I already have an offer at Buffalo Wild Wings. Because I'll tell you what, I have been to some wing places in my life where you eat the wings, you're like, this has been on the floor. Like, this is not good. There's no reason they charged a quarter, all right? This is bad. So maybe she was flipping them. Maybe she was going over there with cases of wings to like local restaurants, being like, hey, just go ahead, serve it to the people. They're good wings, right? If you buy wings off of her, you gotta be watching your dining room floor that night like, nobody dying, I guess it was some good wings, okay. Really made a deal. And then I had a friend point out that maybe, perhaps, she was doing some sort of Robin Hood thing where she knows, because she's been working in the system for, about a decade, that a lot of food goes to waste. Maybe she was ordering food to give some food away, which is fine. I'd like to believe that little, like, chicken wing Robin Hood type angle. You know what I mean? Like an angle where she just is out on the corner deep frying in real time, just like feeding the hungry. Get over here, burn your mouth on this, But even in that scenario, you had to take food from a kid who was already hungry. And one of the reasons they caught her is that when they were checking the budget, they saw that the district was $300,000 over budget. You gotta be more careful than that. Like she ordered all these wings, I guess in the period of like a few months, which is gonna be noticed, right? And one of the reasons they caught her is because the schools don't order chicken wings. Kind of almost feels like entrapment. It was even an option. Like that's. I wonder when they saw the order if they were like, chicken wings? Okay, we'll do our best. But they don't do chicken wings at school lunches because of the bones. Yeah, because you have dumb kids that'll eat them. Like, I don't know. I'm not saying I'm brilliant, but I always knew not to eat a bone. I don't know why we coddling these children. Go ahead and, let the kids have some real flavor in their lives. We can't have flavor because this one kid gonna try to eat the whole thing. Oh, it's annoying. But it is crazy, because when you think about it, if she had just stuck to, like, chicken nuggets, she'd be running an enterprise right now. Because I'd like to believe, just me personally, that she was, like, a chicken wing kingpin. At 7 figures, you're doing something with those wings. See what I mean? I'd like to think that, she'd be showing up to the drop and everything. Looks like The Wire, but it's for chicken wings. She shows up with the wings. They don't show up with the money, And she's like, oh, you don't have the money? Okay. Grab them. And then two goons run up and grab the dude, and he's like, wait, I can pay. I swear I can pay. And then they make him put his arm in like a chicken wing, you know what I mean? And then they put his arm on the hood of the car and he hit a chicken wing. He's like, no, please, don't do it, please. And then one of the goons just stomping his elbow, like just something that really hurts. They send him away, he's like, oh. Don't forget the money next time. Because when I saw her mugshot, it was crazy. Because, you know, she's a bit older. I believe she's like 66, 68 or something like that. So it's kind of odd when you see an older person in a mugshot. Because she over here looking like Deadpool's roommate. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, how you look like a lunch lady and guilty in the same picture? You could tell she had served some lunches too, just from the picture. Picture had a little sass to it, just a little like. You can tell that's how she be looking at kids when they ask for an extra pudding or something. Oh. That's tough, though. They gave that woman 9 years.
Oh, that's
right? 9 years. That feels disproportionate. You know what I mean? The state doesn't care that much about chicken wings. They don't even care about the kids that much. That's 9 years? Wow. People on Wall Street don't do a day. Like, that's 9 years. You know, I think that's too much. If it were up to me, I don't even know if I would have her really serve jail time. If it were up to me, it'd be probation, and she has to eat $1.5 million worth of chickens. Oh, we know what you having for lunch for the rest of your life, ma'am. 6 years in, she's like, I've had every sauce there is. I can't do this anymore.
Soho Theater, please make it loud for Josh Johnson!
I don't know if I'm the only one who cares, but have y'all seen what's happening with Duolingo? Okay, in case you're not familiar, Duolingo is an app where you learn other languages, supposedly. It's basically this app where they gamify learning another language through like quizzes and little mini games, little mini quests and stuff. And I'm not gonna say it doesn't work, but everybody I know that uses Duolingo still speaks English to me. Just throwing that out there. And you know, over time it was getting more expensive, and over time there would be mistakes that were in the games and in the programs, which were kind of, I don't know how you would put it, but basically it was kind of forgivable because you felt like you were getting that real-time help through a person, you know? So then a person would see through comments, oh, this is messed up. Oh, let me fix it. It actually should have been like this. And you were really getting like a sort of language learning community going under Duolingo, which is the point, you would think, to learn a new language, to talk to more people. It'd be kind of weird to learn a language just to be like, I did it. And no one will ever know. I'm just gonna go to whole countries, know what they saying, and not tell anybody. I have the power. I only think like a psychopath would do that. Like I've seen those viral videos of people being like in Japan, and no one thinks that this black person in Japan speaks Japanese, so then they like are recording themselves or they're streaming, and then someone says something about them, and then they're like, boom, I know Japanese, and the person's like, what? How? You don't look like it. You know, That actually would have been a fire ad for Duolingo back in the day. It's just like, have you like eating at a at like a fast food spot, everyone around you roasting you, everybody getting one in, like, and the back of his head, look at it, look, I can see right through it. Does he even know he got that bald spot? The bald spot fighting for his life is shiny. It's like a flashlight, and then you bounce back, you're like, I know French. What? I'm so embarrassed. I was being rude in undercover. Duolingo. But no, that's not what happened. You know, people were slowly learning these languages over time. And learning is like a hard, it's a hard way to describe it because it's not as if the language was fully being taught. It's not like the same thing as sitting in a class, being taught the tenses, being taught the situations to say certain things versus other things. It's more just like, did you spell we right? That's a little French. Have some of that. And so over time, you see Duolingo also get this internet presence that's like, their socials team is very like in vogue. You know, they get in there, they're funny in the comments, spicy comments too. Sometimes they got a quick jab back whenever somebody tries to trash Duolingo. And I don't know how I feel about it. If I'm being honest, it's like through our tax systems and through the economy, we already treat these companies like people. I don't know if I want to pretend that they're also interesting. Do you know what I mean? Like when I see a Twitter handle for a company, I don't want to be like, oh, they're so moody today. I can't believe Microsoft's so angry. You know, because it's not like it's not an individual, it's a company. And there are individuals making that company feel like your friend, but they're not your friend. They're not your friend at all. And then they do this move, which is wildly unpopular, where they release a statement where they say, we're going to be an AI-first company, which is an interesting title to give yourself. You could have said customer first, you could have said teacher first, and you could have not said anything. Because people were already noticing, they were like, I think there's like less people working there now. I feel like some of my answers don't get answered in the right way. Some of the lessons even feel a bit like Chat GPT-ish, you know? And then they came out and said it. They're like, look, we're gonna use AI and you're gonna learn just the same as you've been learning. And I had friends who were like, I'm not learning anything already. And honestly, what's the fun of using Duolingo if you could just use any sort of like OpenAI, any sort of AI program to make your own learning course? If it's AI, then what's special about it? And so you see people, big backlash. Every time they even tweet, post anything, people are like, was this written by AI? You know? And it gets to the point where I don't really know if they were hacked or not, or if that's just like part of the marketing scheme, but basically they took down everything because they were getting trashed. Because, you know, they want to be expensive, they want to hire less people, they want to essentially disregard, disrespect, or just get rid altogether of their teachers and have you pay, I think, $20 a month to not learn French. And so people were rightfully upset. And so they take everything down and then they post it again, and they post it as the is it a frog? I mean, I think it's a bird. It's an owl? So they posted with a guy in a owl costume, and that guy was using like the you know, deep, distorted voice, talking about how the elites ruined Duolingo. And I was like, yeah, but aren't you? What's happening? And then I think it was the CEO that even came out, and instead of giving some sort of statement that basically says, hey, look, yes, we're going to be using AI, but we're still going to have our teachers, and our teachers are going to just use AI for some of the menial tasks, but you'll still be talking to a teacher. Instead of reassuring the customers at all, he kind of just doubled down and was like, look, the AI going to be better than teachers anyway. That people got really mad. And I think what's happening here is what's happening all the time. Teaching is hard. Teaching is very difficult. And if you love something and you love it enough to teach it, that to me is amazing. I don't know if I know anything well enough to teach it. And I don't know if I have the patience to convey those ideas in an efficient enough way that you know what I know when I'm done talking. That's scary. I would never try to teach. I don't know, even things that I'll admit right now, even things that I'm pretty sure about, I don't know enough about to teach. I believe in climate change, but if you asked me about climate change when I got done talking about climate change, you wouldn't believe in climate change. When I got done talking, you'd be like, everything he said sound made up. Because teaching is very, very difficult, and we forget. From every perspective, teaching is difficult. It's difficult in and of itself, alone, to be in your head, have the idea, convey the idea in a way that gets through someone else's head. You gotta get past all the video games and all the crushes and all the, just to be like, math! That's already hard enough. Never mind the fact that, like, kids are difficult. I'm not just talking about like junior high or all of them. I remember being difficult as a kid. I wasn't trying to be difficult. I wanted to learn the thing. It was not getting in. I was fighting it. I didn't even know it. Sometimes I'd even be a little pompous, you know? Like, I'll admit it, as a little kid, give me some grace. As a child, I was a flat earther. When I was little, I was a flat earther because, you know, my teacher tried to teach me about the globe and all the countries around the globe and stuff like that, and how the earth was round. I was like, Just gonna throw this out there for you. Feels pretty flat to me. I know I haven't been all over the world, but never been, you know, sideways. So I think it's pretty flat. Sorry to embarrass you while you're talking to the whole class, but... And then my teacher very graciously was like, oh, yeah, this is sadly a common misconception. It's not actually flat. The earth is round. I'm like, oh, huh. Not to contradict you, ma'am, but if the earth is round, why are all the maps flat? Truly, as an 8-year-old, I thought I had a mic drop moment. I was like, I mean, I rest my case. That's up there with you. You the one projected that thing, so, I mean, maybe I should have the chalk. I'm just saying. And then my teacher pulled out a globe. Because it's difficult. And look, I'm not a parent, and I can't imagine what it's like to be a parent the same way I can't imagine what it's like to be a teacher, but I see some of the friction that parents have with teachers sometimes, whether they think that they could do it better or that they think it must not be their kid, it must be the teacher. And I thought that all would have been settled through COVID. You remember that time where everybody was alone with their kids? To see how well they sort of grasped everything? You know, I don't think enough teachers got an apology. I feel like 2021, you should show up to your kid's school and be like, I didn't know he just wouldn't take the words in. Like, I really thought it was you this entire time, but nah, he hates science. That's his kryptonite. No? It's also hard because I think the way that we look at teaching is as the obstacle as opposed to as the help, right? Like even now, if someone tries to teach you something, there's some reluctance there sometimes. What it used to be, you're a kid, and these adults, they don't know what they're talking about and try to teach me something. And then you become an adult, and you're like, why do you think you can teach me something? We're the same age. And then you get older, and then someone younger than you has something to say, and you're like, why do you think you can teach me something? You don't even know about the world, right? So I think that a lot of people, myself included, sometimes have a reluctance to learning in general, especially because there's a sort of like hubris around getting an idea. When you get an idea, you feel like you got it. I snatch that, you know? It's like when people say that they're self-taught, but then they tell you how they taught themselves. No, I went to my friend's house, he built a whole deck. And I was like, that's incredible. I didn't know you did construction. He's like, I don't. I was like, how'd you build a deck? He's like, oh, you know, self-taught. And I was like, how did you teach yourself to build a deck? And he's like, oh, I just watched this guy on YouTube for like 75 hours or whatever. I had to watch some of the videos over and over again because I was scared I was going to mess up my cuts and everything. But then I got it, yeah. Then he taught you. That's not self-taught at all. 75 hours of listening to some other dude talk, he might as well have been here. No, because there's a deep respect that I have for teachers because they cared about something so much that they were willing to learn more about it than they ever probably had to, just to teach it to someone else, to share the thing that they love. My math teacher loved math so much that she went to more school for math, and then she came back, got a teaching degree, and then came back and taught a lower math than she understands. She has to dumb down math every day just to bring it to me. And just to try to give me some math, she went through all that. And I don't know how we did it. It's kind of incredible that all over the world, we somehow managed to not pay teachers enough and not give them enough, like in every country, no matter where you go. And so, I bring it up because I think that, I'm not a teacher, but I think the thing that teachers fall in love with is like that light bulb. Watching someone get something that you understand, that you're giving to them, and then it clicks. And they're like, oh, whether they're a little kid, little bitty kid. I remember a teacher at school is who really taught me how to tie my shoes. Like really put it together for me in my head. Obviously, my grandma tied my shoes and would show me how to do it while she was doing it. My mom would tie my shoes. My dad would tie my shoes. But she was the one that was like, no, we're going to practice. I'm just going to tie it. We're going to practice. And so then she tied it because I ran up to her after recess. I had been falling, right? I've been tripping hard. I was doing that, you know, that Looney Tunes drag where your legs go up? Because I was getting a good start, and then I'd step on a lace, and I'd go, whoa! And so, ran up to her. I was like, hey, can you help me tie my shoes? Just both laces couldn't be further from my feet. Just, can you help me tie my shoes? And she was like, sure. And then she tied both my shoes for me. And then just like that, she pulled the string and untied them both. And I was like, oh. I'd never been betrayed before. It's like, oh, why would you, what's wrong with you? And she was like, no, I've tied your shoes a couple days in a row. I'm not gonna tie them anymore. We're gonna tie them together. And so for the rest of recess, sat down, tied my shoes over and over again until the last time I tied them and I didn't even notice it. And then for the rest of the time I was in elementary school, every time she saw me and she saw me, shoes tied, she saw that light bulb go off. Oh. And no matter how reluctant someone is to be taught, it's a beautiful thing when that happens. When the idea gets through and you can see it. You see the light bulb go off. Oh, it's round. Who would have thought? Well, And so, I don't know what it's like. I see this move in Duolingo towards AI, and that move towards AI is not to give you, the consumer, a better product. It's not to help the actual teachers who are passionate about people learning other languages so they can make new friends or have new experiences or just open their minds up to how big the world really is. When you understand language and you understand how many different ways there are to say something specifically and how few ways there are to say something very unique, you have an appreciation for communication, right? And that's not what Duolingo is looking to do. They would like to make more money. And it's a business, so to be fair, more money would be nice. That's what you're supposed to do at business. No one shows up to business like, did you make any friends? But that is why they're making that move towards AI. And I see that thing happening in places that do make me worry. Like, I don't know much about the UK school system or anything. I don't know if it's good or bad or how y'all feel about it. I just know the stories that I've been seeing where there are some schools that are looking to introduce and implement AI teachers, like AI taking over the classroom. And I don't know, that really worries me because I think that you need a teacher, you need a person to watch you get it. That's part of the human experience. To watch you get it is great. Being in a classroom that's led by AI has to be like being in a driverless car. And you get in, and they tell you it's safe. They tell you it'll get you where you're going, but you get in, and, you know, maybe they programmed it to make sure it makes the light, but not to speed, you know. But you're in the back seat for some reason. I mean, I guess there's no wheel, so might as well. And you're just looking out the windshield the whole time like, okay, they say this is how you get there, but I've never gone this way before. And now you're just sitting there like, oh, I think you missed the left. Oh. Really nobody to talk to in here, so I'm sort of talking to myself. Oh, that's a bus, that's a bus, that's a bus, that's a bus, that's a bus. Because one thing about being here that that I cannot stress enough, the way y'all's buses move is wildly different than what I'm used to. If I'm being honest, I don't know how you train your bus drivers. Or what happens when a bus driver hits a person, but it looks like they're trying to find out every turn. I was crossing the street to come here, and the bus driver cut the wheel so hard in front of me and looked at me the entire time. But you're in this driverless car, and it says it's going to get you where you're going. And so maybe you should trust it. Who knows? But sometimes you prefer a person, you know? I know that we don't necessarily treat everything this way. Like, the best example I can give is when it comes to school and how kids are using ChatGPT and other AI to do their homework for them or do the lesson for them and turn it in. The big fear there is that they will not know how to think to a conclusion, right? Like, if we're being honest, and this isn't to disparage what anyone teaches or how they teach it, but a lot of the actual lessons you learn in school don't matter as much as you taking the steps to get to the end product, right? Like, it isn't imperative that you read Mark Twain. But it is good that you read something that is not how the people that you know talk, and it's not from a time that you live in, and it opens up your mind to that the world might be different, you know? And the fear is that if kids use this thing too much, if it's completely abused, that you'll essentially graduate someone who is illiterate and not able to think critically about anything. And they'll be a doctor. And I get that. I get that fear. But you also have to look at it from the perspective of those kids, because they're essentially being told that, look, we try to teach you well so that you can go out into the world and be productive and maybe get a good job. But as far as good jobs, we're like done with those, so you're not gonna get one. That's gonna go to AI. But don't use the AI to cheat. You gotta read the whole book slow so we could be impressed by how the AI reads it fast. And so I understand how a lot of kids feel like they don't have stake in the type of future that the work that they're expected to do would link them up with, you know? Like there's this idea that if you do everything right, you'll reap the rewards, but we're already telling you the rewards won't be there by the time you get done. And so I see things like them bringing AI into these UK schools and paying for these programs. You have to ask yourself, is this really coming out of the kindness of someone's heart? Or is this to make money? Is there a company that will make money? And surely there is. Because the programs range in prices. There's one program, though, that is being implemented in school. I think, I could be wrong about the exact number, but I'm pretty sure that the amount that the program is going to cost the school is like £27,000, which I'm not saying is the best salary in the world, but you could pay that to a person, you know? And it just freaks me out because I only know what it's like in the American school system, which is scary enough. And not just because of the shootings. It's also... It's not because the I'm saying the American school system is already difficult enough because you have underpaid and overworked teachers that have to take extra jobs and just fight for their lives and then still spend their own money to get supplies for kids to do the work that they're expected to do, right? Just to like stay even slightly above water. So how can you not expect this kid who's already been given less resources than kids in other districts and kids who, you know, by some accident happen to go to a great school or happen to be in a place with money, how can you not expect them to use ChatGPT to get them to close the gap? And how can you not expect these teachers to be like, I already drive Uber, deliver pizza, and teach geography. I don't know if I can try to find the AI. You know? Because you can get really far without knowing. Actually, that's one thing I think about all the time. I don't know if your schools are good or not, but I also don't know if it matters, at least to Americans, because if you come over to the US with your accent, we'll believe you. Like, people in the US fall for the British accent so hard, it's kind of unfair that we were ever number one. Like even a lot of the conspiracy theories that we believe in the US did kind of come from a British guy who just talks smooth. You know, like he comes over after y'all kicked him out for being too wild, and then he's like, you know, there's lizards in all the people. And we're like, when he says it, it makes sense. You know, y'all have some phenomenal exports. But you do have some rough ones. You know? Like, why'd y'all do, like, that, sending Piers Morgan to us. It almost constitutes an act of war. Like I don't know who else you could have sent that Boris Johnson wouldn't have been as destructive as Piers Morgan on our TV all the time. That was, what did we ever do to you? I'd like to think that the UK holds like centuries-long grudges. And I'm like, okay, all right, y'all think you cute. You think you cute, you gonna leave me. Just wait. Wait like 200 years. I'm gonna send the most annoying man that's ever lived to be on 3 of your news stations every day. No? Because it's difficult. I mean, you can get really far without knowing much. That's scary. And that's even before AI. Ask Piers Morgan.
You can get so far without knowing anything. In fact, there was a teacher in the US. This blew my mind. This teacher, and look, I'd have to look it up again, but I was throwing it out there. British man. It just sort of backs up my point. This dude taught in the US for 8 years and he couldn't read. He couldn't read. Imagine somebody failing you who can't read. Imagine you turn in your paper and they're like, I don't even know what this says, but it looked wrong. Like, this look like garbage, man. Nah, this dude really figured it out. This is one of those stories that kind of went semi-viral before virality was like well established. So before YouTube and like things could pop off on Twitter, Facebook, or anything, this dude got his like maybe his master's or something, and started teaching. And I think he was teaching like middle school, and taught middle school for like 8 years. Could never read, but what he would do was he was very good at picking out personalities. This was his talent. This was his thing that he had used his entire life. He could read people. He couldn't read words, but he knew. He knew people so perfectly, he could laser into them, and he knew so much about you just by looking at you. And one of the things he would do every year, every semester, he would lock in on like 2 or 3 of the smartest kids in class. Just naturally smart, just genuinely gifted. And he would have them, read a paragraph or 2 to the class starting the lesson. And then he would basically, watching over them, kind of get the smart kids to teach all the other kids. And it was astounding. That's wild. I'm sure that's what they think the AI will do. I'm sure that's what... This dude would lock in, and he'd just see, okay. He'd be like, today, can you read page 11? Can you read page 12? Can you read page 13? And we'll all just take notes in our books as we go, right? As the kids would be taking notes, as the other kids were reading and everything. And one of the things that he said in his defense, he's like, show me where the kids that I taught aren't proficient in what I was teaching. My methods work. And it's fitting that he was teaching middle school too, because middle schoolers are some bullies. A middle schooler is the only one with the real audacity to be like, I don't think he can read. That would never happen in higher education. Like, if you're getting your master's and your professor can't read, you would second guess yourself. You'd be like, no, I must be missing something. He must just be like so locked in that he never looks at the book. No, only a middle schooler would be like, I bet you he can't read, dog. Because a middle schooler will blackmail you too. A middle schooler would be like, hey, look, it's A's for me and my boys the rest of the year. Or we telling everybody you can't read. That's A, as in the first letter. That's A as in the first letter that you can't read, because you can't read, okay? If I even see a closed A that look like a B, I'm telling everybody. Imagine that. Imagine getting caught. Imagine principal, vice principal got to pull you into the office. You sitting down, because the kids loved him. He never gave homework. You sitting down, what's going on, y'all? How's everything going? We need to talk to you about something that's a bit troubling. We are hearing, it's honestly hard to even say this out loud. I feel so embarrassed even bringing it up, but there have been some accusations by some students and maybe a few parents as well that you ooh. Because you gotta think about it. If you're wrong, You look so crazy as the principal. If you're wrong, you look like you believe everything you've ever been told in your life. If you're a principal that drags a teacher into a room to be like, can you read? Like, you hired me. Like, can I read? Principal sitting him down. Okay, look, so there have been some concerns and some accusations by some students and some parents that your literacy is not in the room with us. You know, and I don't know if they would have the teacher in there by himself or they'd have the kid that accused him of not being able to read because he didn't get the A he wanted. Maybe he's sitting there. Teacher, this is preposterous. You know, words you say when you don't know how to spell it. This is preposterous. Me not be able to read. What how dare you? How absolutely dare you? Kid sitting there. Make him read something. Make him read something. He gonna do it anyway if he can do it. They try to get him to sign his resignation letters. They're like, can you read it? I'm not even gonna dignify that with a response. Kid sitting there, that means no. No? And that's my fear. That's my big fear is that you let the system start, it only benefits companies, and before you know it, it's an entire generation, an entire country of people who aren't proficient in thinking skills. They can't think critically. They're not truly literate. And never mind not just reading for fun. They do not really grasp how important reading is because you can either cheat the AI or the AI has the best interests of the company in mind. Because that's another thing that was happening with Duolingo. It's just all these ads started popping up, ads for companies because they're a company that's trying to make money, you know? And so what if that happens? What if you implement so much AI into all of these schools and it goes left? How fast can you train an entire generation of teachers that were burned out and underpaid and overwhelmed to begin with? You know? That means that you could have an entire generation of UK teachers coming to the US not knowing how to read and teaching our kids not to read. Could be a disaster. Never underestimate the power and the impact that a teacher can have on your life. I remember a teacher sat me down and told me something I didn't even know about myself. This teacher sat me down and told me, you got a lot of nervous energy. Like I was like in middle school where you can't even be polite. You just got to get right to the point. Like they just sat me down. You got a lot of nervous energy. All right. You ever thought of drawing? Just channel it somehow. Right. I was like, oh no, I never thought to draw. I love anime. Yeah, maybe I'll draw. And I drew something and you know, my teacher was like, draw something, bring it to me. You know, I'd like to see what you draw. And so I did. And when I showed my teacher my drawing, they were like, we're gonna find something else. For you to do with your energy, all right?